Hello, thank you for giving me a chance to answer the fraction question again. After thinking about it, there's three possible answers. If I was planning a lesson for tomorrow on fractions, my thought process would be to first decide whether or not there's going to be homework or class worksheets. But that would just be selecting a file of the software that I've already made anyway. Then I choose which starter I was going to use with that class. Spin the wheel game, maybe constant revision. It could be many things. But the software, the resources are already made. And then I decide on the plenary that I was going to finish with. I usually plan to have two plenaries depending on how much time there's left. Maybe a long one or maybe a very quick short one. And then I choose the main body of the lesson, which is selecting the file or files or the software that I've already created. Alongside that, perhaps I'd be thinking of creating something new. So that would be planning a lesson for tomorrow. The main body, the content, could be less or greater to a certain degree. Okay, if you have a look at the screen, first of all, I'd make a list of what was going to be included in the plan. So we'd introduce fractions, then move on to cancelling and equivalent fractions, then fractions to decimals and percentages and back and forth. Then multiplying and dividing fractions. I always do multiplying and dividing before addition and subtraction because it's, I think, it's the easier one of the two. And then adding and subtracting fractions and then fractions of an amount. So I'd group them together and separate them at the same time. So we'd have maybe introduce fractions, cancelling, and equivalent fractions, which is spelled wrong, and fractions to decimals and percentages. That would be the first group of fractions, perhaps at the beginning of the year. And then the next time we come round to fractions in the same year, we'd then revise the things before, which will be an overlap, and then go to multiplying, dividing fractions, and addition and subtracting fractions. And then when we've done that, and we've then go on to other topics, and then come back to fractions, we'll revise again, and then go on to fractions of an amount, which will then lead to percentages of amount and maybe go on to ratios and things like that. So that'd be a yearly plan, term plan, or scheme of work. I split into three there so you could see how it worked over 3 years, grades 6, 7 and 8. But you could do that in 1 year as well. But that's planning for a body of work. But if the question was asking how I would plan to teach an initial lesson of fractions, meaning that what you would see in my actual class and how I'd go about it, rather than the writing down or actual planning of it, well, first of all, I tell the students how easy this is going to be because this is the easiest thing they've ever done, which is what I say about all maths, but everything in maths is easy. And I'd probably write some fractions on the board, or maybe talk about some fractions. And I'll tell them to understand fractions, all they have to do is be able to draw a fraction. And if they can draw a fraction, then they understand all fractions. I'm going to show them how to draw a fraction properly. You start by just drawing a line, which is easy because everybody knows that. It's simple. This is how easy fractions are. And we have to then write a number on the bottom, but this might take a little bit longer than talking to you. But then I'd say we have to write a number on the bottom, but what number can it be? And it could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 150 million, 223,509. It could be any number at all. So instead of writing all those different bits of numbers, we just put a big blob. Just put a big blob on the bottom, and then we can put any number in place of that blob. And then we have to put a number on the top, but then we go through, what number is going to be on the top? It could be 1, 2, 3, it could be 155,275,309. It could be any number, so if we just put a blob at the top to represent any number, and we can change that blob for any number we want. And then we draw a box, or I would draw a box around it, and we say, we've got the divide button on a calculator, because that's exactly what a fraction is. Fraction means divide, top number divided by the bottom number, and that's it. That's you understanding all fractions because they're all the same. Then there's a couple of different ways I could go. I could talk about how every single number is actually a fraction, and then go and draw out of them that every number divided by 1 is a fraction. So 2 over 1, 3 over 1, 4 over 1, 110 over 1. And that will help when it comes to finding the fractions of an amount and other things in maths. Directly after finding the division sign, I'd then relate it to the multiplication tables. So if we look at the 2 times table, we'd have 4 over 2, 6 over 2, 8 over 2, 10 over 2, 12 over 2, and the students in the class should be able to almost automatically see how this is going to turn into the multiplication table, with the top number divided by the bottom number. 8 over 2, the answer is going to be 4, which is the same as 8 divided by 2 is 4, and we can use it to apply to other multiplication tables as well. So that's the introduction of fractions, to get them to understand what fractions are, and then build on that in the rest of the lesson and in future lessons. Thanks again for letting me answer this question again.